Alright, so we all have that one moment during school where someone does something so incredibly stupid that you question if their brain is even working properly. Well, today I'm going to be telling the story of a kid who caused a literal explosion in my science class after doing something the teacher told us specifically not to do. But yeah, I figured you guys would really enjoy this one. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the story time, boys. Anyway, so this took place when I was in 6th grade, and at the time when this happened, we were doing an electricity unit in science class. Now, with electricity, there are a couple, basic rules you need to follow. The first one is, don't be stupid. You may not know this, but electricity is very, very dangerous. So, yeah, don't touch it. The second rule is don't do anything that will put others in danger, like causing electrical explosions, for example. Now, the assignment we were working on at that point was we had to build a little electricity-powered little, place. For example, one group was making a little ski hill where the seats taking you to the top of the hill were powered by, batteries and stuff. My group was making a little amusement park with, a Ferris wheel and all that stuff. We were using batteries and wires to make the Ferris wheel operate, so it was going pretty well in my group. However, there was one group that wasn't really doing too well with the assignment. They started by copying the group with the ski hill, which caused a huge conflict in the first couple of days. For some reason, the teacher ended up letting them copy the group and used the excuse of, be happy they were inspired by you, which I personally think is one of the dumbest reasons for allowing someone to copy. Do you think Disney's just gonna sit around and let people rip off their films because they're inspired by Disney? Probably not, but it should be the same logic here. Now, most of the kids in the group don't really, matter too much to the story, but there's one kid who I'm gonna name Bob for this story. Now, Bob was one of those kids who didn't really listen to the teacher very much. He and his friends constantly got into trouble for things like not doing their homework, talking back to the teacher, or disrupting the class. He was one of those types of kids. I'd say it's pretty normal for kids to be kind of stupid like that during elementary school and middle school. Now, I'm currently in high school, 11th grade to be exact, and people have definitely, grown out of that stuff. But back in, grades, 5, 6, 7, 8, people were always acting stupid like that. Anyway, so around maybe 3 or 4 days into the assignment, our teacher talked to us at the beginning of class how she was going to allow us to use wire snippers because apparently some students have been asking to use them for whatever reason. They most likely needed the wire snippers or something to help with their projects. So the teacher starts going over a bunch of rules about how to be safe with the wire snippers. For example, she told us stuff like, the wire snippers are very sharp, you could cut yourself, we don't want anyone getting hurt in this classroom, that kind of stuff. However, there was one rule that our teacher said, and that was to not cut plugged-in wires. Now, I feel like that was pretty unnecessary to say. Most of us already knew from common sense not to cut a plugged-in wire. We don't want to electrocute ourselves and die, that's not really on our to-do list. The teacher probably just said that to prevent kids like Bob and his friends from doing anything stupid, but to be honest, that's probably just going to make them want to do it even more. When someone says, hey, don't do that thing I'm telling you not to do. Well, now I just feel like I have to do it, I don't know why that is, but for some reason, when someone tells you not to do something, you just feel a strong urge to do whatever it is. Anyway, so after the teacher tells us the rules about the wire snippers, we all go back to working on our projects. And for the most part, it went, pretty normal, we just worked on a little amusement park, and we were making good progress on it. About halfway or so into the period, we're still working really hard on our assignment. We're putting a lot of effort in, and that's when we hear a really loud boom from the other side of the classroom. Now, my first thought hearing this was, did a bomb or something just go off? Because it sounded like an explosion or something blowing up. Naturally, we all look over to where the sound came from, and the first thing that we see is that there are sparks flying everywhere. I was seriously scared the school was gonna light on fire because that's how many sparks were just flying all over the classroom. However, they all kind of fade up before anything can catch on fire, which I feel like that's a pretty big W. For those of you saying, but if the school burns down, you won't have to do any work. You gotta keep in mind that there are hundreds of people at my elementary school. I don't want anyone getting hurt or, dying. So we all look over to where the sparks came from, right? And we see Bob holding the wire snippers, and then below them, I see that one of the plugged-in wires is just cut. That thing got snapped right in half, and that kind of gave me Darth Maul vibes. Although, unlike Maul, the wire didn't exactly survive being cut in half. Anyway, so it appears that Bob actually decided to cut a plugged-in wire, which is got to be the stupidest thing I've ever seen someone do. The teacher literally told the class, hey, cutting a plugged-in wire is very, very dangerous. Don't do it. You could literally kill yourself. And for some reason, Bob thought, hey, you know what I should do? I should cut a plugged-in wire. That's a great idea. Like, no, like, he could have actually died. This isn't a situation where, oh, you'll just get a little shock. No big deal. Like, no, like, he could have actually been killed. I really don't know how he didn't get electrocuted. I really don't know how he's still alive. But I guess he got really, really lucky with this one. The teacher, however, yeah, she's pissed. She starts screaming at Bob, "Why would you do that? Do you have any idea how dangerous that is? I can't believe you would cut the wire." She starts calling him an idiot. Now he's a terrible student and all these things. Now, is that a little far? Sure, I can see the argument for that. But the moment a kid almost kills himself by doing something you specifically said, hey, don't do this, you could die, I feel like all bets are off, right? Like, that's seriously just one of, sorry, not even one of, the stupidest thing I've ever seen someone do. So the teacher's screaming at Bob, right? And then she notices that the wire snippers are like melted from the explosion. I don't really know how to describe it, but yeah, they're done. The teacher won't be getting any more use out of them, and that makes her even angrier. She starts going on about how Bob needs to buy her a new pair of wire snippers and a new wire, and he had no business destroying her property. Bob tells her, look, I don't have the money to pay for that. And then the teacher tells him that his parents are going to have to buy it then. Now, should the parents pay for it? Yeah, they definitely should. Their son broke the wire and wire snippers by just being an idiot. Like, it makes sense that they should pay for it. You know the saying, you break it, you buy it. But the teacher can't really, like, force Bob's parents to pay for it. Even though, yeah, they should pay for it, you still can't force them to pay for it if they don't want to. Now, shortly after that, class ended and we all went home. Now, I don't really know what happened with the whole situation, but whether his parents paid for it or not. I'm guessing they probably did. But hey, you never know. It's not really any of my business anyways, whether they bought the teacher the wire and the wire snippers. But, you know, it would have been nice to know for the story. Anyways, if you want to listen to another entertaining story just like this, on screen right now is the story of a spoiled kid who thought he was Jeffy and did some very questionable things at the park.